I love hunting season.
Clone number 2, you can't just keep killing other clones.
What? It's fine. They come back, I think.
What do you mean they come back?
I'm pretty sure they reincarnate as like a cucumber or something.
You don't know that that happens?
You're right, clone number 6. Only people reincarnate, and are clones really people?
Hey SUBFURYs! I wanted to touch on this after a number of you made some interesting comments about how death works in the Avatar world in the comments of my last Avatar video. It got me thinking, reincarnation, but not Avatar reincarnation. No, I've already made a whole video on that. Shameless plug, click the link up in the corner of the screen to watch that. Whether normal humans reincarnate, did Katara come back as a sky bison? Did Sokka finally become a friendly mushroom?
Mushy giant friend.
These are the questions. Laura, if I got reincarnated, what would I be reincarnated as?
Jon Snow,
Why?
because you know nothing.
Ah, love of my life, 3 years and counting. Is there a wedding on the horizon? Well, that is a question for another time. So yeah, my girlfriend does something super cool. She is a professionally trained singer and she put together some songs with one of my best friends. There's a link to her channel and her song down in the description and in the comments below. She's currently made 2 songs, Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer, and my personal favourite, the legendary, the classic, Africa by Toto.
It's gonna take a lot to take me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do.
Go check her out and receive a special blessing from Supreme Leader Mishka. So, reincarnation. We know of course that one individual certainly does reincarnate. The Avatar. But when it comes to other normal humans, it's a bit of a tricky topic because it's only ever really addressed in the periphery, indirectly. Now there is some evidence to suggest that normal humans in the Avatar world do reincarnate. In the Avatar extras for the episode The Southern Air Temple, the writers noted that the writers almost did an episode based on the idea that Momo was the reincarnated monk Gyatso. This tells us one important thing, that was on the creators' minds when they were drafting the story, that they hadn't discarded the concept entirely. There are even hints of a connection between Momo and Monk Gyatso in the episode itself, when Momo does lead Aang to find Monk Gyatso's corpse. Once again, people tell me this is a kids show. I don't ever remember SpongeBob going to Squidward's for a dinner party and finding his dead body in the shower. Some people have suggested that the fact Momo sees Aang and then goes straight to Monk Gyatso's body, of all places in the temple, indicates that Momo actually recognized Aang and led him to the body. But they still didn't run with the idea for the episode, Tim. You're right, you friendless homebody with no social skills. But it's not even made entirely clear why they didn't run with this idea. If it was for a lore reason, say that they didn't want reincarnation to be a thing, then clearly enough, reincarnation isn't a thing in the Avatar world. But if they scrapped the episode for some other reason, like they did with the one exploring who Aang's parents were, then reincarnation is still definitely a possibility. Now there is another moment in Legend of Korra between Avatar 1 and Rava that does suggest something of reincarnation, when Rava says to Wan that,
"I've failed to bring peace. Even with Vatu locked away, darkness still surrounds humanity. There wasn't enough time."
Don't worry. We will be together for all of your lifetimes.
This moment is interesting because Wan didn't seem surprised at all at the idea of multiple lifetimes. If it was just accepted as fact that people reincarnate, then fair enough. He would not have questioned it. And this was before everyone knew that the Avatar reincarnated. The counter-argument to this point is that A, the reason he didn't react is because the next breath, literally, was his last. He wasn't really in the right mindset to start asking questions. And B, another perfectly good reason that he didn't question it is because Rava and he had already discussed it. I mean, Wan was like, what, 80 years old by this time? It's difficult for me to believe that after the two merged during harmonic convergence, Wan never asked, "So, Rava, what happens to you when I..." Some others have argued that certain scenes with Guru Patik have suggested reincarnation is a thing, or at least that he believes it. Guru Patik says,
"But love is a form of energy. The air nomad's love for you has not left this world and is reborn in the form of new love."
Now, this line was used in the context of Patik talking about how everything is connected, everything is influenced by everything else. If you harm one part of the world, you harm the rest of it as well. All the 4 nations are one people. There is an undertone to what he says that everything is in a cycle, that everything is reborn, that the world changes and adapts. But it's kind of hard to say that this is definitive evidence of reincarnation. It may well just be part of Guru Pathik's personal philosophy. Now, this all said, a number of scenes do somewhat imply that reincarnation is not a thing amongst non-avatars. The most explicit example is in the Southern Air Temple again, with this interaction between Katara and Sokka.
All these people are your past lives, eh?
Past lives? Katara, you really believe in that stuff?
Now this scene can be interpreted in a couple of different ways, because Katara replies,
When the Avatar dies, he's reincarnated into the next nation in the cycle.
The interesting thing here is that Katara leaps to single out Aang, single out the Avatar as someone who reincarnates. If it were commonplace around the world, then it wouldn't be seen as special. And that's kind of the thing. Every single time that we get references to past lives, it's in the context of the Avatar, suggesting to me at least that it is something special to them. If others are reincarnated, then we have to wonder why it is never mentioned explicitly in the same fashion. There were plenty of episodes or moments that it would have been interesting to explore, say the fortune teller episode. But we have to separate out two questions here. Number one, whether reincarnation is a thing in the Avatar world, and number two, whether people believe reincarnation is a thing in the Avatar world. Because what people say and believe will not necessarily line up with the reality of the lore. Sokka says in that same scene to Katara,
Past lives? Katara, you really believe in that stuff?
The implication here is that there are clearly a group of people who do believe in reincarnation, but we don't exactly know whether Sokka was referring to believe that the Avatar reincarnates, or whether people reincarnate in general. And remember, at this point the Avatar had vanished for nearly 100 years. Sokka had good reason to believe that the Avatar hadn't reincarnated after the death of Roku. Many people lost faith in the Avatar as a champion for them, and along with that comes doubt with the mythos surrounding them. The Avatar is just an old tale, and so is the idea that the Avatar reincarnates. But then again, as we said, Katara singled out the Avatar. She assumed Sokka wasn't talking about people in general, and there may well have been a good reason for that. Now there are still two arguments that we need to address. The one that I think is the best argument for the idea that normal people reincarnate, and the one that I think is the best argument for the idea that normal people don't reincarnate. On the for reincarnation front, it is an important and essential part of the culture and religions that Mike and Brian drew on when creating the Avatar world. Such religions as Buddhism, Sikhism, and Hinduism all have their own form of reincarnation. Mike and Brian, the creators of Avatar, were extremely conscious of the cultural and religious influences on their world and its lore. Chakras, Jinn, meditation, balance, and the spirit world are all integral parts of this world that they designed. And not only did they clearly consider reincarnation with the monk Gyatso Momo story, but it fits perfectly with the Tibetan culture of the air nomads. In fact, the design of the air nomads was so deeply influenced by the culture of Tibetan Buddhist monks that it would actually seem kind of weird for them not to believe or have some element of reincarnation. I mean, they have strong elements of meditation and enlightenment, or moshka. You know, that sounds suspiciously similar to Mishka. You know why? It's because Mishka has already achieved enlightenment. He sees all. He sees into your soul. All hail Mishka! These established ideas in their philosophy, meditation, moshka, enlightenment, they're contingent on the cycle of reincarnation. Once again, this doesn't prove that reincarnation does happen, it just shows us that it fits so nicely into air nomad society, and the overall design of the world that Mike and Brian were going for. On the against reincarnation side, it's clear that people all across the world don't have any real understanding of reincarnation. In fact, there do seem to be differing religions or belief systems all across the four nations. For example, when Iroh is at the grave of his son, Lu Ten, in the episode Better Work, he says this line.
My beloved Lu Ten, I will see you again.
This line suggests to me a more Western idea of an afterlife, or a heaven, that Iroh will see Lu Ten when he's dead. The Water Tribe clearly takes a lot of inspiration from the Inuit religions such as animism, belief in the divinity or spirituality of the world around them, in the moon and the ocean, obviously. Hence why Yue describes the Grove in the Northern Water Tribe as an innately spiritual place.
But I can take you to the most spiritual place in the entire North Pole.
The The Earth Kingdom seems by far the least religious, but it does seem to have some form of ancestor worship or reverence that we see elements of in Chinese and Japanese culture. And in the episode Avatar Day, something kind of weird happens. The people blame Avatar Aang for what Avatar Kyoshi did.
It's going to kill us with its awesome avatar powers!
I'm on your side.
I find that hard to swallow, considering what you did to us in your past life. It was Avatar Kyoshi. She murdered our glorious leader, Qin the Great.
Now this is interesting because one, it highlights that the Avatar reincarnates, and number two, it shows that they blame Aang because they're ignorant of how reincarnation kind of works. If reincarnation is to be understood as people can be responsible for things that they did in their previous lives, then I think we would have seen this idea raised again and again. If it's only the Avatar that can be blamed for what they did in their previous lives, then it's easier to blame them, and it would explain why they don't know much about reincarnation. And especially because it would not be a common thing to know much about, especially after the Avatar has been gone for 100 years. That said, that village holds a grudge. Even Katara, who shows us that she does know that the Avatar reincarnates, shows a clear lack of understanding soon after.
Who is that? That's Avatar Roku. There's no writing. How do you know his name? I just know it somehow.
So she knows Avatar reincarnation is a thing, but she doesn't understand the nuances and intricacy. That having a past life means that sometimes you can recall memories or experiences, or at least that is what some people believe, not all people. If it was a widespread and understood belief, then she may well have known that. On top of this, you'll remember that even Aang didn't know how he knew Roku's name, and he was raised by the air nomads.
How do you know his name? I'm not sure. I just know it somehow.
If it was widely accepted, even if just in the air nomads, that people reincarnate, say as animals or non-sentient beings or humans, then I'm sure this idea must have crossed Aang's path at some point somehow. But if reincarnation is restricted to just the Avatar, then this would explain both Katara's ignorance of how it works and Aang's ignorance of how it works. This is because, as we know, Monk Gyatso wanted Aang to just be a kid, rather than forcing him to get caught up in all of this Avatar business.
Aang needs to have freedom and fun. He needs to grow up as a normal boy.
You cannot keep protecting him from his destiny.
He kept him away from all of that Avatar knowledge and training, and it's quite possible that this question never came up because it is a niche Avatar topic. Finally, one more thing. Oh my gosh, it's hot. In the Avatar online game set between Book 2 and Book 3, Aang is talking with Avatar Yang Chen when he questions her, why doesn't the Avatar reincarnate as an all-powerful spirit, rather than as a human who can make mistakes? Now, as I've already established, Aang doesn't seem to understand reincarnation particularly well, and this line supports that theory. Alternatively, it could suggest that he thinks or understands that people can reincarnate into other beings, say spirits or animals, but I don't think that's particularly likely. This is because we can pretty safely assume that humans don't or can't reincarnate into spirits, though that is not a definite. There's always room for error.
So where does this leave us, Tim?
It's kinda yes, kinda no. It really comes down to, what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. Is reincarnation a thing for normal people in the Avatar world? Or do people even believe in it? If you enjoy the Elder Scrolls games like Skyrim and Oblivion and Morrowind, then I would love for you to check out my Elder Scrolls lore series. We talk about a bunch of stuff that I find absolutely fascinating. Think you might like them too. There's a link up in the corner of the screen. Otherwise, you can just find them on my channel, where I discuss and speculate over similar stuff like I do with Avatar. A massive thank you to Ayekne the animator, a personal friend of mine who animates a lot of the things that I use for my How to Train Your Dragon videos. There is a link to her channel and to her commissions down in the description below. If you want to check her out, please do. She's amazing and super friendly, and if you want to get your original characters or your pets drawn by her, she's totally open to do that too. My question for you today, SUBFURYs, is what is one thing from your country that you love that you wish the rest of the world knew about? It could be a food or an experience or an idea. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much to those in the SUBFURY community who have supported the charities that we chose. A21, which helps rescue those who have been in slavery, and the World Wildlife Fund, which helps protect habitats and animals, especially after things like the California fire which have been going on. The SUBFURY t-shirt you can get to support these charities is still available, perhaps as a Christmas present. I totally recommend it. You can get them in different styles, I really love them, and thank you so much to those of you who have already bought them. We've raised nearly $1,000 for these charities. I am unbelievably happy. That's way more than I ever imagined we could have done. Even Spyro is proud of you. Anything to say? Yeah, that's right. Wait, no, one more thing. I made this part of the video later. I found a subreddit, which is perhaps my favorite subreddit I have ever come across. It is an entire subreddit dedicated to someone being Judy from Avatar and talking about the war. It's literally just them posting in it and includes such amazing topics as, what's this war thing people are talking about? Never heard of it. Weird memories coming back. What is the worst city ever? Judy here. Can we just take a moment out of our day to hail Phoenix King Ozai? That was just amazing. I've got a link to that in the description if you want to go check it out. I have nothing more to say. It's fantastic. I love it. There are so many good things in the world. I'm very happy. I'm very hot. In the meantime, I'd love for you to come follow me on Twitter, Wattpad, Facebook, support me on Patreon if you have the money. It really helps, and it helps me grow my channel and try and make more videos for you. Email me stuff you may in the address and links in the description below. I need a drink. Stay nerdy, SUBFURYs, and I'll see you in the future.